What is going on, guys? Matt O'Leary back with another video. In today's video, we are getting into some free agency stuff. I am excited. I mentioned it already, but tomorrow on Sunday, gonna do my full free agency preview for the New York Jets because Monday's the legal tampering period. Wednesday's technically the start of the new league year, so over the next few days, the New York Jets are going to be very, very active. But what I wanted to do today on this lovely Saturday morning is talk to you about 5 players the New York Jets should not overpay in free agency. This does not necessarily mean that every single guy on this list is a bad player. That is not the case. What it means is they are not going to be good value players. What a good value player is someone who you get good bang for your buck on. Someone who is not going to cost you a whole lot, that is pretty productive. These guys are going to get paid a lot of money and are average at best, and some are even below average. So not good value in free agency is unfortunately something the Jets have dealt with a lot recently. So we are going to try to avoid players like this. Let's get the list rocking and rolling. First up on the list is a very obvious position of need on the offensive tackle, but I would be very disappointed if the New York Jets went this route, and that's Jonah Williams. Jonah Williams is a former first-round pick in the 2019 NFL Draft by the Cincinnati Bengals. His projected contract is 4 years, $60 million, so that's a $15 million AAV. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money to invest into an offensive lineman. And again, do the Jets desperately need offensive line help? Yes, they absolutely do. The problem is Jonah Williams is going to get paid because of his draft status and name recognition. He is not a productive right tackle or left tackle. Granted, he played right tackle this past year after bitching about having to move from the left side to the right side of the offensive line, but he wasn't good on the left side and he was bad on the right side. This past year, he allowed 8 sacks and 41 pressures at right tackle. He, unfortunately, that's a trend from his career, is he is going to allow a lot of sacks and a lot of pressures. It was at left tackle, even worse, 12 sacks, 41 pressures in 2022, and 2021, 8 and 42 the year prior. So a positive with him is his age, and he doesn't get penalized a lot. And after being hurt early in his career, he stayed relatively healthy since then. But great, he's just not good. I mean, like, this is the same debate that people had with Laken Tomlinson as well. He plays every day. He's healthy for you. Great. When he's on the field, he's not good, and unfortunately overrated. And I get it. This is going to be a name that gets brought up a lot with the New York Jets. The problem is he's just not a productive player and is going to get paid like an above average starter, which is that's not the case. He's a below average starter. I wouldn't even classify him as average. That's one on the list. Number 2 on the list, we're going to go to another position of need, and this is a player the Jets have seen a lot of over the last 4 years, and that's Gabe Davis, wide receiver from the Buffalo Bills. His projected contract, 4 years, $54.5 million, $13.6 million AAV. This is one of those guys who, like, okay player, is really a wide receiver 3 that is going to get paid like a wide receiver 2. In one of the most pass-heavy offenses in the entire NFL, the Buffalo Bills seem to never run the football. He had 746 yards, 7 touchdowns as their wide receiver 2. And again, it's not that he is a bad player. He's not. He's a fine player. He's a fine wide receiver 3 in most NFL offenses. Unfortunately, how free agency works is because of his age. He's 24 years old. He has the name recognition. He's had back-to-back okay seasons. He is going to get paid like a wide receiver 2, and the guy is just way too streaky. Way too streaky. One of the most inconsistent players in the NFL. 1 week, he could give you 6 for 105, and then the next 2 games, he'll go without a catch. No, please. I don't want that kind of variance for a wide receiver 2. Again, if he is your third option and making $7 million a year, you can pallet that for Gabe Davis. Of course you can. Unfortunately, that's just not the reality of free agency. Free agency, oftentimes, guys who are okay get paid like they are very, very good. And that is, again, the instance that we are coming here with our guy, Gabe Davis. So that is a player that I would avoid for the New York Jets in free agency, which leads me into the third option on this list, staying at the same position, Odell Beckham Jr. Like Gabe Davis, at this point in his career, would be a fine number 3 wide receiver option. If they were able to get Odell Beckham Jr. for $5 million a year on a 1-year prove-it deal kind of thing, and also add a wide receiver too, okay, different conversation, different story. Unfortunately, again, that's not how free agency works. His projected contract, 1 year, $11.9 million. Odell's not a double-digit million-dollar wide receiver anymore. He's just not, and that's okay. He's 32 years old. He's had 2 knee surgeries in the last 5 years. He got 1 year, $15 million last year and had 565 yards and 3 touchdowns. Again, that's not to say that he can't play the position anymore. Clearly he can. He's just, I would not classify him as a wide receiver too. And my fear is the Jets loved him so much last year, they're going to go, yeah, we'll pay him $10 million, $10 to $12 million a year. And then they're going to end up running out Garrett Wilson, Odell Beckham Jr., and Allen Lazard as their starting wide receiver trio, and then wonder why it's underwhelming again. I don't want to do that. I would like to get better value. Again, in free agency, it's important that you try your best. It's not always easy, but you try to get good value contracts, and this would not be one of them. All right, number 4, back to the offensive line. We're going heavy offense in this one, but that's what the Jets are expected to do this offseason, so we're going to focus on that side of the ball, and that is Trent Brown. Back to the offensive line. He is 31 years old. His projected contract, 2 years, $15 million, $7.5 million AAV. They are significantly, like in that price range, I would much rather get a Jermaine Illuminor, someone like that, than go out and sign Trent Brown. Again, name recognition. That's really what it comes down to. He had 1 great year with the Patriots. How long is that now? 5, 6 years ago? It's a long time ago. Then he goes to the Raiders and is very okay. Over the last 5 years, he's played 11, 17, 9, 5, and 11 games. He's going to miss time. Every single year he is going to miss time. And the last time he was fully healthy in 2022, the 17-game season, he wasn't very good. He allowed 8 sacks, 39 pressures. So another guy who's going to give you close to 40-plus pressures, 8 to 12 sacks. And the kicker, 13 penalties. Penalties have been an issue his entire career. I am sick of the offensive linemen who have penalty issues. He just went through a season with Mekhi Becton at left tackle. And speaking of Mekhi Becton, something that is worrisome about Mekhi is his size. Everyone talks about his size. Oh, you know, like that's a big issue, and that's part of the reason why he got hurt. Well, this guy's 6'8", 370. How long is that guy going to last into his 30s? He's going to be 31 years old. How long does that body hold up? It's already been showing signs of breaking down over the last 5 years. As I mentioned, 11, 17, 9, 5, and 11 games over the last 5 years. And you're going to sign up for a 6'8", 370 guy who's well past 30 years old now? Come on. There are significantly better options out there. Don't overpay for the high variance players. Again, I get it. They're going to have the name recognition. And that's why, you know, a lot of people are going to flock to them, but it just doesn't make sense. Last, but certainly not least, I don't think the Jets would be in on him, but I just wanted to talk about him anyway. And that's Saquon Barkley, running back, 27 years old. This one's more for the fans because I've seen some fans be like, oh, well, Saquon's going to be a free agent. Pair him with Breece Hall. And did we not learn anything from Dalvin Cook last year? I get it. At one point, Saquon Barkley was a really exciting player. At one point, Dalvin Cook was a very good running back in this league. But his projected contract is 3 years, $36 million. That's a $12 million AAV. I think he would go somewhere where he would be a number 1 running back. Philly, Dallas, Houston, those are all teams who've been linked to Saquon Barkley where they don't really have a number 1 running back right now. But I've heard a lot of fans talk about, pair Breece Hall with Saquon. 14 games this year, 962 yards, 6 touchdowns. When you look at some of the deeper numbers, he only averaged 3.9 yards per carry. This has not been the same guy since the injuries have taken over. He had a great first 2 years in his career, but since then, really banged up. Has not been the same guy. But this doesn't even necessarily have to apply to only Saquon Barkley. Like, I get it. He grew up a Jet fan. The Jets need a running back too. He's a great, great guy. No one has anything bad to say about Saquon Barkley, the teammate, the leader, the veteran, the captain, the whole thing. But Saquon is not the answer. Paying a 27-plus-year-old running back with a ton of mileage on him, big money, is really bad business. It just screwed the Jets last year. Don't do this again. No to Saquon Barkley, no to Josh Jacobs, probably no to Derrick Henry. Find a veteran running back if that's the route you want to go for RB2, which I get. I think is probably a wise idea. You have Izzy Abanikanda with some upside, who I just don't think you could rely on him as RB2, like no vet insurance or no, mid-round draft insurance on just him, right? Like Breece Hall is going to be a stud next year, but find a veteran minimum, not even a vet minimum guy. Find a veteran running back for $3 million or less. That's not very hard to do in today's NFL, and you could find significantly better value. Hell, even if they went out and signed DeAndre Swift to a little bit of money, like I would assume DeAndre Swift at this point in his career is a better running back than Saquon Barkley, just because the miles he has on him, his price tag is going to be significantly less. He hasn't had a ton. Like last year was his first year where he had a ton of reps and he went over 1,000 yards. But again, like, we just saw this last year with a running back who's 27 plus, has a lot of miles on him, who has name recognition, who's going to get paid a little bit of money. I don't want to see the Jets go that route for RB2. And I use Saquon because that's the name I think fans bring up the most because of his connection to the New York Jets. As a Jet, grew up a Jet fan, the whole thing. But it just, for any pricey old running back, that I don't think that's the way to go. So let me know your thoughts. Who is someone else maybe I left off this list that you don't want to see the Jets go after because you don't think they're going to be worth their contract? Maybe you feel differently about one of these 5 guys. You can let me know that as well in the comments. Thank you so much for tuning in. Once again, I'm Matt O'Leary, and I'll catch you guys next time.